Welcome back to the ProLworks channel. I'm going to be building a miniature version of this walnut box on the bottom here. So I get started with some 6/4 walnut and I'll get it rough cut. After that I'll take it to the joiner and then the planer. The drive belt on my little joiner busted, and so I was forced to get this old Powermatic up and running, which is not a bad problem to have. It took a little bit while to get it dialed in and I had to order some new knives, but it's getting some pretty good results. After resawing, I got these boards planed down to about a 1/2 inch thick, and then I'll take them over the table saw to get them cut to their final length. I'm going to be using mitered corners for this box, and I have a stop block here set up for the two sides I'll be cutting, and this will make sure that they're the same length. For the top here, I don't have a stop block set up because it doesn't really matter how wide this box is. If I'm off by a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, it's not a big deal. I'm cutting some dados in the side pieces, and this will hold the bottom divider of the box. I didn't feel like setting up my dado stack, so I'm just using this 1/8 inch thick flat bottom grind tooth blade, and I'm taking one pass after the next and sneaking up on the perfect fit. While I had this blade installed, I cut the grooves to hold the back panel, and this was just another series of cuts, guessing and checking until I got a good fit. I have some blue tape on the back of these pieces, and that'll help clamp up the mitered corners. I cut the divider to the perfect length, and then I ripped it to a little bit less wide than the other pieces, and that'll make sure that I can slip the back panel in afterwards, and then a couple clamps, and that'll make sure that the dados are fully seated. I'm adding some splines to the corners for a little bit of added strength, and I'm just using the same blade I used before so that it has a flat bottom on this cut, and I whipped up this jig pretty quickly out of some MDF, and that black line is just to make sure that my blade height doesn't hit any screws that might be in the jig. I decided to use walnut for the splines here. I didn't want to use a contrasting wood because I figured that would distract or detract from the overall look of this box, which is supposed to be a nice simple piece with the drawer fronts being the main attraction. I've had this piece milled up for about a year now. It came from the same board that I showed earlier in this video, and it's pretty stable and a nice quarter sawn piece. I'm getting it cut to about 10.5 inches wide, that way I have a little bit of wiggle room when I go to fit it to the box. Because these live edges are sort of angled, there's going to be a gap between the two drawers, and so what I'm doing here is fitting this to find where I'm going to put a little background piece, and this piece is going to make sure that you can't see into the box between the drawers. This was a pretty snug fit, but it's still not the best glue connection, so I came back later and reinforced it with some dowels. And here you can see how the drawer fronts fit. And those dowels are actually poplar, and they were just really dark, so if you ever need a dark dowel and can't find walnut, try to find a dark poplar one. I'm using poplar for the drawer boxes here, and the top drawer is a little bit bigger than the bottom one, and that's why I'm messing around with the fence in the middle of these cuts. I'm cutting a groove on each of the side pieces, and this groove will run on a runner that's inside the box. And so I'm just doing the same thing where I'm sneaking up on the perfect fit, and I have the runner here so I can test it. Similar to the back panel of the box, I cut the back of this drawer a little bit short, and this way I can slip the bottom panel in afterwards, and this just gives you a little bit more room to work when you're attaching the drawer fronts later. I'm using some spacers to make sure that the runners are equidistant from the top or bottom of the box, and this will make sure that the drawers open and close smoothly. I'm using some wood glue with a little bit of super glue on it, and I'll just hold them there for a little bit till it tacks up, and then I can apply some clamps. The inside of the drawer fronts receive a chamfer, and this will act as the pole for the drawer. There's a bunch of ways to get these drawer fronts attached accurately, but I found this works best for me. I use a combination of double-sided tape and glue at the same time. The double-sided tape will make sure that the pieces don't shift around, and the glue obviously supplies a long-term strength. So I use this 1/4 inch piece of plywood, and it makes sure that the drawer front is flush with the top of the box as well as the sides. And having the back panel of the box removed allows me to push forward from the back and get a nice glue bond before I can get some clamps attached. I installed the bottom panels for the drawers, and all they need is a single nail and about 600 hits to get them installed. And you can see how much of a contrast these poplar dowels provided. They really look like walnut dowels, but I promise you they're actually poplar. After a few coats of Danish oil, this little guy was ready to go. There it is. Nope, wait, there it is. Thanks for watching.